Hi, and welcome back to the Human Nexus. My name is Miss Laura Machiste. I am an online tarot reader, holistic massage therapist, and energy coach.
And my name is Andrew Brazis. I'm a marketing and business consultant and private chef. And today we have my good friend Rene on. Rene, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Rene Enchartea, and I've worn many hats throughout my life. I'm an Iraqi combat vet. Served in 09, 010 in Iraq, and then came back and fell in love with cooking, and was chefing it up there for about 12 something years. So right now I'm in a transition of going on technology and getting out of the field and going on another adventure.
Yeah, and we met in the kitchen.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we met in a restaurant, and he's who introduced me to Barbara, who is the witch mentor that I've talked about on this podcast quite a bit. Um, Rene, do you remember when you asked me to go see her? Because I remember it pretty crystal clear.
I mean, I think I just kind of came out to you, like we were talking, and
Yeah.
because we had same ideas and everything, and
Mhm.
I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think I just kind of like just came up to him like, "Hey, want to go see a witch?"
And
Which was strange. And I was like, I don't like, I wasn't really for it, but I was like, yeah, you know what? Why not? And
how did
then,
you know Barbara?
Um, I She is, I would say, a local legend
Okay.
around the South Bend, Indiana area.
Hmm.
Um, I was trying to find some insight of myself. I felt like I was really lost where I was at, and I've always kind of wanted to. I was always curious about it,
Hmm.
um, about stuff like that. And then, ooh, she's a witch, so of course, enticed me, and I just made my connections. And there was people that I knew that I worked with who knew her, and then it was going over there one time to going over there having coffee at Game Gam's house. That's what it felt like.
yeah, that's really what it was.
That's so cool that she like brought people together in a sense who were curious as
Mhm.
well, where it was just like her showing you exactly what she was doing and like the curiosity and the learning of that. Did you like learn anything like super crazy from her
Um,
or anything like
mm,
that you feel like people should learn in life that maybe they wouldn't learn if they weren't taught by a witch?
um, I think some of uh, it was just simple stuff of whether whoever you pray to, you pray to that person, and you don't have to do all these silly rituals and whatnot and so forth. Yeah, it draws in power and everything, but the
Mm-hmm.
real power is within ourselves, and it's fighting that inner workings of ourselves to help us through whatever situation that we're in at the present moment. But yeah, she made it known, kind of like you have to go out there and light candles at midnight. Granted, yeah, it does help and everything, but yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of stuff that I learned from her. I know she did like scrying classes and seances and stuff in that nature. I never went to them. Being in the house alone, having coffee was a seance, by itself,
Yeah,
because
that is, yeah, that's very true.
uh, I know Andrew's told you about, there's a portal on the third floor, and it
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't
just,
talked about that.
oh
I never
yeah,
got into the third floor stuff.
Oh my
the
gosh.
the
No, but
the
go ahead. Go, yeah, yeah,
goblins and
go ahead.
sprites and
Mhm.
um, stuff of that nature. Like it was, she had them in the house, that's for sure, both human and non-human.
Mhm.
Um, she knew how to keep them at bay, and that's where that kind of where it does the ritualness and stuff of that nature is an understanding. It really comes into play, because if you're dealing with you know spirits like that on a daily, I would think that have some kind of protection, obviously.
Right.
Um, So yeah, her house was very blessed. She had a shaman friend and everything come over. They blessed the house together and everything, all that stuff. Um, but no, it was like I said, it was like going over to grandma's house, and she just that's pretty much what she taught me. Just like just take life easy, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go out and learn. Want to do do your learning and just not the world doesn't end at like, let's say, life doesn't end at just like a really bad spot, or there's always movement, there's always transition, there's always learning, there's always an adventure to go on. um so that's what I learned from her. Let's say that. Yeah, long-winded. That's what I learned from her.
I
Yeah,
like that you said that too. Wait, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say she was really good at seeing psychic abilities in other people, like recognizing that, and then like
Mm-hmm.
encouraging them to explore, use it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's
What were you gonna
interesting
say?
that you said that one of the things that she taught you was that you didn't really need anything. And I've always believed that, but I didn't know why I believed it. And like it's like the spiritual world society that's like, no, you need crystals or you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's interesting that she had that belief system as well, because
Right.
it's almost like reaffirming some things for me that sometimes I don't know why I know those things. And you saying that, and that's one of the things that stood out is like super interesting. And how sometimes you do, well, you don't work with crystals, like you must not know. And it's like, I don't think
Right.
you have to.
You're not a true witch, you're not a Wiccan, you're not this, you're not
Mm-hmm.
connected. Well, I am connected because I connect at a higher level, higher frequency than you. Then for you have to, you know, uh, mess with rocks and dirt and soil and all the other stuff.
Right.
It's the power is within us, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
divine spark that we were given to before we came on this earth, in this
Exactly.
plane.
I love that she like did that, and how she kind of brought people together to like enhance their own energies. And just were the chosen people at those times. And it's almost like beautiful to be like on this side of it and not know her and learn about her through these conversations, and how like she's living on through the two of you having had experienced her.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yep. Old Miss Barbara.
And and you went to her quite a while after, because I think I was like mentoring with her or whatever for a few years, few summers, and
Yeah.
then I moved away, and so I just like lost all connection. And then I remember us having conversations where you were like, "Oh yeah, I spoke to Barbara last week and had this crazy reading," and that went on for I don't know how long were you doing that?
I was going at least once a month for a reading, and
Hmm.
then I'd go over there for the hangout and coffee, and
Yeah,
for once every other week, something of that
yeah,
nature, maybe every 2 weeks. Go hang out, and that's how it really started because I went in there for a reading,
Mm.
and then I ended up, me and her were talking, and her readings were, um, we'd only go for about an hour and a half. She charged you $50, no more nor less. Um, but that hour would turn into 3 hours.
mhm,
The light was out, the sun was up, and by the time I
Mm.
left, it was dark. I'm driving on the south side of South Bend, not really digging that one, but that's how lost in conversation that times I spent in talking with her and just shooting the shit. I shot the shit with a witch and had coffee, and like it was like that's people were asking, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm gonna go hang out with my friend out in South Bend.
Do you have any like portal stories to share? I'm
Portal
gonna kind of
stories.
yeah.
Um, Well, I mean, there's one on Barbara, obviously her third house, but which had like sprites and goblins and all that kind of stuff, and but for my own experience, because if somebody told me if I didn't like experience anything like this, I would be like, okay, yeah, bud, sure, right on, gotcha. But I lived in this part of Indiana, Elkhart, and there are some spooky places out there, and there's definitely portals, so you say. Um, and I lived right behind cornfield and fields, trees, woods, and it was a portal to, because it wasn't just your little bump in the night kind of thing. There's a lot of energies there. There's a lot of native land. There's a lot of water running around the whole area, creeks and streams, and you start seeing things that don't really kind of make sense. Like, are you sure I saw a goblin at the age of 12 and everything? And like, you start hearing things whispered out to you in the woods. You start seeing like ethereal beings, things coming, forming out of midair. A lot of, like I said, a lot of in and outs of different spirits, and not just human spirits, but non-human spirits. Um, I wanted to say it was Bigfoot, but it was something about 8 foot tall.
Wow.
Running through the woods where we used to run to, and where we used to hang out as a kid. Like, I knew the woods like the back of my hand. And then we used to see a lot of different, a lot of creatures. I don't know if they call them creatures and whatnot, but just, like I said, didn't make sense. It wasn't your normal bump in the night. And I mean, it could have been a portal. That's how I kind of saw it as.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many energies right there, and that, uh, battlegrounds, NATO battlegrounds. At one point there's a battleground where they took, when the tribe got too large, they would kill each other off and everything in this huge field. And in that area, there's like a 95% divorce rate just in that area.
Wow.
And so, like, stuff, I'm saying, like traumatic incidents, traumatic events that happen on the land and everything. I believe, yeah, anything's going to open up as a portal. And then, with that much like heartache and blood loss and all that, negativity, I believe, yeah, it will open a portal for sure. And yeah, I believe that I lived one behind my house where, yeah, you see a Native American, or you might see a Union soldier, or then you might see, fairies and goblins and trolls and whatnot and so forth, where you want to call them, nature spirits. One of my stories.
Do you
That was
want
what
to
I
talk
was thinking about fairies for a second when he was explaining that.
Well, I was going to say, do you want to talk about the image that you sent me? I sent it to her with
Oh yeah,
the
those green things.
Yeah, that was recent. And I'll pop it up on the screen.
Perfect.
Yeah, so talking about that, Native Americans and spirits and whatnot. So I live in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Moved down here, got tired of the cold up north, sick of the snow. So we moved down here, and this area, it's Choctaw tribe, the Native American tribe, and a few others that I'm still learning about. But I live right next to a temple mound that is 14,000 years old. So, and it's their spiritual nature center. There's, between the ancient natives that lived here to the Spanish conquistadors to the modern Choctaw tribe to the other spirits that are walking down here among us, the werewolves and the vampires, not too far away from vampire country down here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a high thing of witchcraft, and not like not just the good kind. Like they go around, they make sure all the cats are put up around September to November, because there's such a high level of cats getting picked up and getting sacrificed.
Oh my gosh.
It's
So,
insane.
So yeah. So with all that, it's a time capsule of just spirits, and that night we were just hanging out, having a bonfire, and I wear this hat. It's a fox hat. I call him Dennis. So whenever I have a fire or whatnot, bring Dennis out, and just have a fun time around the fire. So we're out there, had some friends, and started taking pictures, and I'm starting noticing this like green, smoky, foggish, ectoplasm kind of look. And I'm like, man, that's not the smoke. Like, there's no way. There's no way, because you can see the picture in the picture, the difference, and everything, the actual smoke. So as I went on, my fiance took a couple of pictures of me, and that's when you start seeing. I think it's a dog or a wolf, because you can make out. At first, you can't really make it out, and then the second, third, and fourth, and fifth pictures, you can, where there's 4 legs, a tail. I made a pose where I have my arms stretched up like this, and you can see it looks like a dog on his hind legs throwing his arms up, and the curl of the tail, and so yeah, that's the first time we ever had caught anything like that. We've heard noises, voices, people walking around at times, but it's like right after that happened, then activity was getting more increased in the backyard. And like in the backyard, like I have shells. I live, like if I dig deep enough, I'm gonna find an arrowhead and everything, or artifacts or something of that nature. So I just think this whole area, just because, and also the Temple Mound, not too far away, like it holds a lot of energy, and being so close to, because I'm only a mile and a half, if that, from the Gulf Coast. Excuse me. So yeah, from that moment, we're getting more activity, and this comes with like when you open yourself more up to energies and spirits, and being more kind of in tune with yourself, and your abilities, our abilities. It's you meet your friends, but at the same time, there's other kids on the playground who are probably a little jealous of you, and they're going to come over and they're going to mess things up for you. And that's how I felt like that energy was. Not the wolf and everything, but afterwards, because there was a bunch of incidences that were happening where just weird, just really weird stuff.
Let's hear one.
Well, it's so after that, let's say after the wolf picture or whatever, the following Saturday, and that whole week, which is just past 2 or 3 weeks, I feel like I'm in some kids. Well, what's the word I'm thinking of? Some childhood fairy tale book, and I'm meeting all the characters in the book. Like, it's just
Like a
wonky.
time capsule. You're just
Alice
going
in
through
Wonderland.
it.
Yeah, some Alice in Wonderland, meeting the characters. So a few days after that, back outside, and set up a tent and everything, because we're going to camp out in the backyard. It was cool enough. Finally, it's cool enough down here that we could do it. Had a fire going, whole shebang. We're sitting out and we're looking up at the sky, and this area is also known as a very highly active UFO sightings. A lot of them.
Mm.
So, and I've already seen a lot of them since I've been here. So when that happened, we're sitting down in our recliners, in our lawn chairs, looking up, and then we see this thing. I want to call it a ship, something. It wasn't a meteorite. It wasn't a satellite. It was zigzagging around. It was too high for a plane, or at least the ones that fly around here. We're all by fighter jets and everything of that sort. And usually when they land, they're a lot lower than that. But yeah, then it disappears. It just beelines it after zigzagging around, and then it disappears. And immediately after it disappears, I hear, me and my fiance both hear, sound like the voice of a woman, just like, "Hello, can you help me?" Just real odd. Nobody else is out. Nobody else is walking around. And my house, we do have we have a sidewalk, and we have a decent privacy fence from the fence to the sidewalk, and right next to the sidewalk, it's a semi-busy side street. We do get traffic walking up and down, but I've never had anybody call out like that to us and everything. And I go walking up, and I'm expecting to see a woman, because that's who called. That's the kind of voice I heard.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this short black man saying he was homeless. And I'm like, okay, well, do you need anything? Like, I'll help you. You know, if you're hungry, I'll feed you. You need a hotel room, I'll throw you some money to get a hotel room. I ended up inviting him in, feeding him. And then the conversation was just getting a little weird. It was like, not weird. I want to stop saying weird, but he was trying to move in with us. So like how we were all talking and everything.
So he was asking to stay for longer.
Yeah,
than,
like he was okay. So yeah, he was having a good time, and we were. I had some music going. You know, jumps up. You know, praise Jesus, and like I'm like, okay, you know, maybe this guy, you know, is too bad, a little goofy. But yeah, then he starts, you know, kind of like, "Can I move in with you guys?" Like, no, you got to go now. So he leaves, but he also told me that he was on meth a little bit. Now, this is why I'm talking about like the spiritualness, talking about opening yourself up. There's also like things starting to come out, like I was talking about. The kids on the side want to join with you because of jealous and everything. And they just come out, and I believe that was a spirit, or a spirit attached to him, that came out to just test the waters. So because it was just, everything was odd. He was from the same, just out of the blue at 12:30, like on the dot. Sounded like a woman when he was calling, but he definitely did not have a woman's voice when I was talking to him. He's from the same town, from like the exact same town where my fiance is from up there. And that was just kind of strange. And they went to the same high school. It was almost like everything that he could say to make us feel comfortable, but it wasn't like
that's what I was thinking.
It was, but like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so South Bend, Indiana, what's the chances of that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is he was from the same high school
do the
in
same
Indiana,
streets,
not
And with him talking about, like, you know, say meth, those kind of drugs, like it brings a negative energy with you, an energy that negative spirits will just latch onto and just feed off you, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
And I believe that he either was who he said he was. Which, I mean, I did have his, because he forgot. That's the other thing. He forgot his wallet. His wallet just he dropped his wallet in my yard, so I had that as just kind of like an anchor. It felt like. It wasn't until after I got rid of his wallet, because we got in the car, let it stay there for a couple of days, because I figured if he's gonna walk past, he's gonna realize he doesn't have his wallet, so he's gonna come back for it. Well, he never came back for it. So a couple of days go past. I'm like, I probably should do something, because it's just been this, like, not overpending doom, like ominous. Had a very ominous feeling in energy around our house, and not so on the inside, just all the way around. So then I had a woman come by. I'd never seen her walk past this house. I'm usually outside in the back patio, on my computer, schoolwork, something of that sort, and I notice people when they walk past. Never seen this woman since we moved here. Out of the blue, carrying a baby, knocking on the door, and it wasn't. I couldn't tell if she had an accent at first, like she was kind of struggling to speak English, and then all of a sudden she spoke English perfectly, and it was just a weird dialect. But she just kind of looked at me and was asking if I lost my wallet. Well, no, it's not mine. Left it in this man's, and it's this man who I helped out, and left it on the side of the fence, hoping that he would find it. And she just, I don't know. She looked at me. She's like, okay, all right. I was like, all right, thank you. It was just really odd. And then she left. And then I went out to go grab the wallet. I'm like, I have a feeling that was a message for me of, you need to get this wallet off your land immediately, or as soon as possible. And then, yeah, when we went to go drop it off, I wasn't knocking on that door, that's for sure. But I went to the address that was on his ID, and the moment you start driving around the house, like, you just feel just like dark. The whole house is dark. There's dark energy, even though there was a light on the inside of the living room and everything you see from the window. It just seemed just like it's the only house on the block where just darkness was enveloped with it. So then I just rolled down the window and chucked that son of a bitch out the window into his yard. So I figured he was going to find it, but I wasn't trying to hold on to that. So yeah, so that's where, like, I think where when you open yourself up to the spiritual side, and whether it's good or bad or wherever your intentions are, there's always going to be somebody to follow suit. I feel like that's going to test those grounds. I think that's what we had recently. I could be wrong. It could have been just some random dude, and it could have been some random woman, but it just, I read energies. That's an ability I think I have. For sure, I possess. I can feel energies. I know when I'm in the presence of a specific person with a specific energy. And those two energies I felt like one was like a jackal or a mischief spirit or something of that sort. I want to say never as a complete pure evil demonic spirit. No, I don't believe that, but I do believe that it was a spirit that's not in our good intention, and we got knocked on the door by the woman who was was a positive spirit telling us that, hey, you need to get this off.
Right.
So
I like how you explained it as an anchor to the wallet, because that goes hand in hand with like the dimensional frequency energies, and like how that anchored the energy that you still felt it there.
And that's exactly what it felt like. Like, this guy, he just put a hook in the ground and was like, all right, I'll see you guys later, and start walking away.
That's crazy.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's really insane. And it's interesting to me too how you, like, you know, like, I mean, you've had enough interactions with, I don't know, degenerates or has-beens or whatever language you want to use to know like if they're just like drugged up or if like there's actually some energetic, I don't know, stuff there. Like you were saying, like you're good at reading
Right.
energies. And
No, and
to
that's
like be aware of that is huge.
the thing. It's like I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything like that, because it definitely wasn't fun the entire time. But I walked with all all walks of life. So from the super guy, the guy who has his stuff together and everything, to the one who doesn't, and it's in a really bad spot. I walked the walk with many people like that, with
Mm-hmm.
all the way around. So you learn, you kind of learn how to pick up on energies, and if you open yourself up to it, if you have the spiritual side to it, like you definitely see tell. Um, then just you're being you're I think that's a bad guy. I don't think he's, or I think he's a really great guy. No, you start seeing things that, like, you'll see the overshadow hanging, or you'll see their entities that they've created, that
Mm.
hangs out with them. I've had one, um, and I think it was my maybe inner child a little bit, and my depression and my anxiety all wrapped up in one. Um,
Kind of like the inner
it,
demon stuff.
yeah, kind of like the inner demon stuff. I mean, I had one of my friends who's connected and everything. She told me that it was dark black, long, tall, and had three fingers and bright green eyes, but it was sad. And it was basically, she was saying that it was my dark side, my inner child, all the bad experiences I had in my life, just kind of like a downtrodden spirit almost.
Mm-hmm.
And because of all that and all the energy I built up and everything, I manifested it to a physical form. So, like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So,
Th-
like, you know,
Does that play into one of the topics we were talking about was manifesting with PTSD? Are
yes.
those, yeah. You want to share a little bit more about that?
So, oh, yeah, talking about that, we have to, what I've learned is just being careful about how you manifest and the mindset you are, because, make anything happen. Just by mere thought. Which I know you guys feel, you know this, but when you're dealing with inner demons and uh, trauma, heavy trauma, I mean, it doesn't, they don't go away overnight, and because your mind's just overwhelmed with the uh, the traumatic incident that happened, um, you manifest it. You manifest it. Whether, if you think that your depression is just this skeletal, weeping, chained up, whatever figure, then it is. It's your reality. We make our own hell.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe. Um. So, but with manifesting on like PTSD, it could be a very scary thing, because I believe it's because your mind just goes out there and wanders, especially underneath heavy depression, anxiety. Um, you're basically um, creating buddies that can help beat you up even more than what you're doing.
Right.
Um, I've lost several friends because of that battle coming back home from Iraq. Um, where, and then you can feel it. I had a friend of mine, and I found out, he took his own way out, and I could feel that dark pit where he was at, and all the things that were around him, egging him on. And when you manifest and unintentionally manifest, that's the real kind of kicker, is that you don't mean to do all that, to manifest all this negativity. You just end up doing it.
Mhm.
You it's a very dangerous thing. That's why, like, I really didn't do too much of like any kind of witchy stuff or manifesting really hard. I had my wishes and I had my dreams, but I was not scared. I was just, what is it, cautious a little bit about it, because I had a lot of other things that I had to heal and to solve, I guess, before I felt confident enough to really put myself out there. Because, like I said, I didn't want to. I get to the point where something goes wrong or doesn't go in my favor or something of that nature, where something out of my control, and I get depressed, and then that depression and everything, I'll start playing out scenarios, and that's a form of manifesting. Um, so yeah, so that's what, yeah, my little spiel about that is manifesting. And it can not only a bad thing, but it can also be a very good thing, as long as we can get the proper help in like therapy. That's a good way of proper manifesting, I believe.
Yeah, that was my next question for, because we talked yesterday and you're like, yeah, I gotta go, I got therapy. And I was like, oh, sick. Like, I'm so happy for you. Do you think therapy has improved your like energetic abilities, psychic ability, like whatever you want to label those as?
Oh yeah, 100% for sure.
Yeah.
Because you're working out, you're working out all the things that have bogged on your mind for
Mhm.
years, from, like I said, from maybe childhood trauma and all the way up to your teenage years to adulthood to everything. So you're going back through, and you are distangling how your mind works a little bit, and you can get to go back and heal those parts that you never got to heal before. And because of that, yeah, it is going to open your mind more. It's going to make you more knowledgeable. It's going to be more. Uh, you're going to be more receptive to positive energies. Um, so yeah, absolutely. I 100% think that like therapy is, like, for some people it doesn't work though. I mean, it's whoever, but I think doing that, it's also like a form of meditation. You're concentrating on what you have to work on, and you set the goal, and yeah.
It's kind of like the spiral of life. Like you spiral up or you spiral down, depending on where your energy
That's,
is.
yeah, that's a very
And I try
good.
to say
Exactly.
that in readings too. I tell people, I'm like, anxiety is a high feeling because the heart is pumping, but that's not the energy you're looking for to create. So I
Right.
feel like it could just all be very difficult to understand when you don't have that awareness of openness. So I feel like having that is just like one step of seeing where you're spiraling with life, either up or down. And I love how you took the manifestation of like how the inner demons kind of like manifest as outer things for yourself, and a nice explanation in a way of how we create blocks for ourselves without realizing it, but then we point the finger and blame it on like everything else instead
Right.
of like looking inward.
Because I mean, like, honestly, like, I've always, since a kid, I've always felt a spiritual sense in everything, to life.
Mm-hmm.
I would have dreams, and that's another ability that I would like to say I was blessed with. Um, I've had very prophetic dreams. Deja vu, it's a daily occurrence.
I
Very
feel like
well.
also too, like you are both like masculine energies, but you have that sensitivity to the energy. And I literally just said this, that's why I'm talking about it. And how like the word sensitive gets like a bad rep because it's looked at as being like soft or this or that. When like if you actually like look up what the word sensitive means and like the vocabulary, it's actually just being able to feel when there's a difference in like energy. So it's almost like that blessing bestowed upon the two of you who have that more connection to just feeling what's going on. And a lot of the times it usually does start at that childhood level if you have that awareness. So it's probably meant for you to do something with it.
Right. And that's where I was getting connection with about the PTSD, and then growing up as a child, and sometimes with that PTSD, with the traumatic, all that, it creates a blocker
Mm-hmm.
for connecting to God and to the universe. I've been struggling with it for a little bit, but it's always been there, and that's our gift. We've always like I said earlier, the divine spark. It's just not going to
Mm-hmm.
go anywhere. It's just uh, how we can have the ability to open it up even more.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, very well said. Rene, if you want to share
Oh,
maybe your perspective, experience.
um, well, my from what I learned, um, growing up, and just my family's was a little religious and everything, but especially my mom's side. I got your basic concept of heaven and hell and whatnot with a Bible, but uh, I believe that it's a lot more than that. I believe that like I said earlier, we create our own hell. This is the third dimension. This is uh, Satan's plane of existence. So for us to be on hell, it's it's a repeat. I have to do this life over again because we need to learn the lessons that we needed to in the time that we had the opportunity to.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that yeah, uh, we go to a place after here, um, but it depends on what dimension we go to. Because my mind is like, because I do believe in past lives wholeheartedly. Believe in past lives. Um, I believe that we get the option if if we did our what we're supposed to do on this times on this plane, is that go to the higher another dimension, and that's where we get to go travel the stars and the other planets and be um, be from not from here, I guess. Like
Infinite.
I believe that you we have our choice. Yeah, we come back, we get a review, and then depending on that review and whatnot, it depends on if we come back to Earth or if we go somewhere else. Because, like I said, we accomplish everything. Um, but I believe that we always come back. Um,
Do you think we come back
and
willingly? Or do you think we have a choice or not a choice?
well, I mean, God gave us free will, but I mean, it's also the Almighty. So you're gonna tell him no? I
Mhm.
don't think it's gonna work out.
Well, that
But
makes sense as to what he said with the review. So if you're
Mhm.
reviewed and you've evolved and stuff, then maybe you do get the choice. But maybe if you
well,
didn't,
it's part of the contract.
mm-hmm.
That's what I was gonna
Mhm.
say. It's part of the contract, the agreement that we say that we're gonna do before we come down on this plane. Um, and then depending on that contract and everything, that determines our switch or where we go to, our destination.
Right.
Um, I believe in I mean I do believe in heaven and hell. I do believe in the angels. I wear Saint Michael around my neck every day. Um, I do believe in the ancient evils of the Old Testament, those ancient demons, the Watchers, whatever you want to call them, and that they are out there to disrupt humanity and do everything in their power to disrupt that humanity and to keep us from keeping that divine spark, which they hate because we're still connected to God and they want us disconnected. That's their whole plan, whole goal. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on the afterlife, is that we all go, we all come down with a plan, and we'll keep on doing it, keep on reliving these lives on by whether we want to learn by choice or we have to learn because we didn't learn the previous lifetime that we were given.
Right. Do you feel like it's on the same dimensional plane, that like we're in the 3D, maybe they're in the 5D, but still that existence of, you know, just the veil? Obviously, you've seen them because the veil has been very thin around you.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're still on the same plane. We're
Different
just hitting
frequency.
we're hitting a different vibration and frequency.
Right.
It was a Barbara. I remember her. She was saying, she's like, the spirit world is literally only 3 feet above you, or 3 feet off the ground. I was like, why is that? It's like, so that's why you see people floating, because they're on the other dimension, but their dimension, they're just 3 feet off the ground. I'm like, well, never knew that one. Never thought of that, but.
Well, I mean, as dense as her house was, I'm sure she had time to and experience to research or whatever.
Well, yeah, she used to have paranormal investigators coming over all the time.
In terms of like feeling like the presence of like spirits and stuff like that, have you ever had them show up unwillingly, or have you always been like more open to it? Like I've had an experience where like I told them like I don't want to see spirits, but then right when I said okay, I'll see one, I saw one. Have you had any of that like closed off where okay, no, spirits don't bother me here, I'm trying to enjoy my vacation? Or is it kind of just like you're in that frequency and you kind of just like, well, if they show up, they show up?
Well, it's funny because that was kind of like my restriction. I don't want to see you, I'll hear you, and everything else, but the moment you show up in my room standing at the end of my bed or in a mirror behind me, it's done. We're not doing this anymore. So yeah, I had and when they do show up unexpected, like and honestly, and the spirits I have around, they're for the most part some type of family member or somebody close attached to the house or something of that sort. Like I lived in this when I was like 14. I lived in the basement of the house, and it was like a full like apartment down there basically. And there was a man that used to live there, and a few other spirits, and they would go in and out of my door. And I slept. I had my door shut, and there'd be like a little gap, so you hear that door move a little bit. These guys would barrel through like a bunch of linebackers, and I told them like, stop. I gotta get up for school in the morning. When you go through my door, be very quiet. And next time after that, it was like nobody barely walked through. It was very smooth, like somebody's just inching in, but not trying to move the door so fast.
So they do listen.
Oh yeah, they listen. Yeah, they listen. And that's why I've also had interactions where they don't like me. They don't like the light I carry.
Right.
So I've been in situations out in woods that were haunted and usually had negative spirits, negative nature spirits and everything. And I would get sticks and stones thrown at me.
Wow.
Because I always wondered, like, why is this happening to me? Like, why am I getting sticks and stones thrown at me? Like, what kind of energy am I putting off? Am I being respectful, or I thought I was?
Hmm.
And then I got told, you know, and it would make sense because a lot of times I go in and I got before I go in a place like that, I think to myself, it's like I got the light of Christ around me. I'm glowing. You know, I'm in His light, in His presence, and I come to find out not many people like that, especially out in the
Right.
woods.
That's so interesting. Wow. That makes a lot of sense too with like actual people. Do you ever notice like sometimes your light turns certain people away that are just like they can't
Oh
find
yeah,
it? And then you think
like
something's wrong with you.
right, yeah, like
Right.
man, all right, I thought I was just trying to be your guys' friends, but then you
Hmm.
notice of how, you know, it's like moth to a flame. You know, you got your positive people that come in as well, and you just that's all you
Hmm.
surround yourself with,
Right.
attract.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
This
true.
has been amazing. I feel like I'm gonna have like follow-up questions. We're gonna have to do a part 2 with
Yeah.
him too.
Thank you so much for coming on. We'll have you for a part 2, follow-up questions, perhaps.
Yes, thank you, Rene. It was so awesome talking and meeting you.
Yes, very much. And I want to tell you that I listened to you for about 2, 3 years. I
Oh,
listened to
thank
your
you.
to your readings and everything. I just want you to let you know that they've helped me out a lot, and you know my my walk in life and everything.
Right. Oh, I do appreciate that. I'm so happy like we could all like interconnect with each other like through this as well. And
Yeah.
it's really cool because I know that like, that saying, if you feel like you've learned it all, then you haven't learned it all or something like that. Something about
Right.
knowledge. So I like having these moments too where maybe you've watched me, but I've also been learning a bunch from you right now within the last
Right.
hour. And I've learned a lot from Andrew in the last couple of months that we've been connecting. So I do appreciate that back. And it's going to be fun to continue this and get you back on here and have some more stories to share.
Right
Yeah, I'm
on.
excited. Yeah, you did great. Um, Also, if there's anybody who watches this, if anything you want to add in the comments, share your stories, please, please, please do.
Yes. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah.